I used to think that humility was how you earned your place in this world, working hard, staying quiet, downplaying your successes. But here's the truth. There is a dark side of humility. This video is about what I'm doing instead of being humble. Growing up, I was taught to be humble. So this meant like not causing any trouble, downplaying accomplishments, and just doing the work. And it worked great. In school, I was, constantly straight A's and everything. But it felt like there was something off. Felt like I was just not doing enough. And I think this was one of the first signs of the dark side of humility. And so once I graduated college and got my first real big boy job, I just kind of followed the same framework that I've been using. Don't ruffle the feathers, just do the work. I told myself, okay, this is my season of learning. I'm just gonna listen to other people, don't really speak up, and just learn by listening. To me, that was humility. A couple months in, I thought I was doing a good job. I had a bunch of people telling me so. But then I noticed something really subtle. People weren't turning to me for my opinion. They liked the work that I did, but they didn't trust me in a sense with what I had to say. And that's when I realized that because I was trying to position myself as someone who was just here to learn, I accidentally instead positioned myself as someone who wasn't capable. Upon realizing this sort of thing, I realized I only had two options. I could option A, just continue what I've been doing, but lose the potential growth because people aren't trusting me with these new opportunities. Or option B, change what I'm doing and always have an opinion, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. I'm kind of stuck between either of these because both of them don't feel right. And so I started to pay attention to the people around me and start asking some questions, and that is when things actually finally clicked. So there's two different frameworks that I've kind of came across that has really helped me to kind of be able to give my opinion in a way that I guess generates trust, but also feel humble. Let me explain. So the first one is strong opinions, weakly held. And I have a little chart, it's empty now, but I'm gonna fill it out. So we have this quadrant here and we break it down into two different axes. So we have how strong your opinion is, and then another axis of how tightly you hold on to that opinion. So if you have a weak opinion that you don't really care about, but you tightly hold on to it, that means you're a troll. You're not really sure what you believe in, but you just argue for the sake of it. However, the next one is what I thought was the correct way, and that one is the drifter. You are a drifter when you have a weak opinion, weakly held. And that was exactly me. I thought I was being humble by kind of not having opinions, but it's just not helpful to anyone. Because in the reality, what I actually was doing was just avoiding risk. I wasn't contributing, meaning I wasn't being valuable inside these discussions. And now I realize, kind of thinking through this, that that's not humility, that's just fear disguised as it. Okay, the next one. If you have a strong opinion, tightly held, that means you are an ideologue. This is when you take a stance, but you're not willing to be talked through about it because you believe it is to be correct and you're not willing for anyone's input to sway that. When you present this opinion of yours, you're not asking to be challenged by anyone. Instead, you're just asking for people to agree with you, which isn't helpful. We learn through feedback. Most of the times we're wrong. And so we just need to have other people kind of challenge those beliefs. And so that leads us to one last sort of quadrant, empty right now. It's when you have a strong opinion, but you don't hold on to it tightly. This is when you're a pragmatist. And this is honestly the one that I'm aiming to be. When you have a group full of people who are all willing to be wrong, but willing to share their opinion, that's where you actually could cut through all the crap and actually find out what is true. And to me, I think this is what true humility actually is. It's not about staying silent. That's not humility. It's about not needing to win as an individual in a sense, but more so as a team come to a better conclusion. And so that helps us to explain the second framework that I kind of use to kind of be humble while still being valuable by sharing my opinion, which I call the double delivery. It's kind of funny, but okay, someone asks you to do something, and so you do it. However, if you have an opinion on how it could be better or just some sort of different way, then you do it that way as well, and then you give them both of those things. And so let's say someone asks you to edit this presentation. Okay, you edit it, but then you realize, okay, the formatting of this just doesn't make sense. So you give them what they asked for, but then you also give them what you think is best, and then you tell them the reason why. And I really like this framework because it doesn't really showcase oh, okay, I know better. It's just more so, it's okay, this is what I think could be better. And so it balances being willing to respect what they ask for, but also willing to respect your judgment. I'm still figuring this whole thing out, especially this idea of working within teams. And what I'm kind of realizing through this whole process is that being humble doesn't mean you need to downplay your accomplishments or stay small and just keep your head down and not discuss about anything, because that's not helpful and that's not being humble. It's about I would say like making space, not just for your voice in a sense, but also for the opinions of other people as well. And it is through that creation of space that allows you to truly come up with the best thing. I think that is what humility is. Being willing to take the chance of being wrong for the sake of finding the best solution. I think that is the most humble way of doing this. Thank you for watching. Bada bing, bada boom.